Well, good morning. I'm reading from the book of Judges and the book of Revelation this morning. And in Revelation chapter 7, there are 144,000 from the 12 tribes of Israel that are sealed during the Great Tribulation. And as you look at that list, one of the things that's interesting is the tribe of Dan is missing. It doesn't list them. And I've often wondered, why would God abandon Dan during the Great Tribulation? Well, the reason is because Dan abandoned God. And if you abandon God, there is nothing left. The tribe of Dan was given an inheritance in the south and the west, down and along the areas of the Philistine territory. And they just didn't like their inheritance. They didn't like what Joshua assigned to them, what God had given them. They said it was too hard to take the land, the enemies were too strong, and it wasn't a big enough land for them, and they just griped and complained, and so they began to send out envoys to go and look. Well, a group of them was way up north at a place called Laish, and as they were traveling into that area, they ran across a fellow named Micah. Now, this fellow Micah, he and his mother had created some gods out of silver, and they had all of these idols in their house, had a whole little temple set up, had a teraphim and had an ephod and had all these little idols set up. And one day a Levite came wandering by there, and Micah brought him in and showed him all of his idols, and the Levite was quite impressed, and he said, "Hey, why don't you just stay here and be my own personal priest?" And that Levite, he thought that was great. So here you've got an idol worshiper named Micah who sets up all these idols with his mother. Here you've got a Levite who's content to abandon the worship of the true God and to serve as Micah's priest. And now you've got an entire tribe that's looking for an inheritance that's not what God gave them. And so the Danites go and they conquer this little community up in the north, and then they come back to Micah's house. It says in chapter 18 and verse 1, "In those days there was no king in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the Danites sought them an inheritance to dwell in. For unto that day all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel." And in verse 18 it says that after they had taken and conquered this little group, it says they went into Micah's house and fetched the carved image, the ephod, the teraphim, and the molten image. Then said the priest unto them, "What do ye?" And they said unto him, "Hold thy peace, lay thine hand upon thy mouth, and go with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for thee to be a priest unto the house of one man, or that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel?" And the priest's heart was glad, and he took the ephod and the teraphim and the graven image and went in the midst of the people. So they turned and departed and put the little ones and the cattle in the carriage before them. So they just steal Micah's images. They recruit his priest, a fellow named Jonathan. They go and whoop the city of Lachish and just kill all these people, and they take their land. It says in verse 27, "And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priest which he had, and they came to Laish unto a people that were quiet and secure, and they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burnt the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Zidon, and they had no business with any man. And it was in the valley that lieth between Bethrob, and they built a city and dwelt therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born unto Israel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven image. And Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven image which he made, all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh." So the true worship of God was taking place at Shiloh. But the Danites, they didn't want God's inheritance. They didn't care about worshiping at the tabernacle that God had instructed Moses to build. They were content to bow down to images that a fellow named Micah had given to a founder and had made. And they had a fellow named Jonathan serve as their priest, who was an apostate Levite. And guess what? After the captivity, Dan's gone. We don't hear anything about them. You see, if you abandon God, well, then he's going to abandon you. And when you come to the book of Revelation, Dan's not even listed there in that list. This is why. Apostasy. They abandon the worship of God. Listen, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by him. He is the truth. Let's worship him today. Let's avoid and beware of idols. God bless. Have a great day.